Kai strode carefully through the low hills of Vera 9, his boots crunching softly over the pale, dusty ground. The twin suns of the planet hung low in the sky, casting long orange shadows over the uneven terrain. He had been sent on a routine survey mission, one that was supposed to be simple. Explore the recently discovered planet, take samples, and report back. Yet, as the shuttle's engines had faded into the distance, leaving him alone, Kai had a strange feeling that this mission would not be routine at all. The landscape was strange but beautiful. The hills rolled in gentle waves, and clusters of crystalline plants shimmered in colors Kai had never seen before. Tiny insects with transparent wings zipped past him, leaving faint streaks of glowing light in their wake. The atmosphere was breathable, though slightly heavier than Earth's, and the ground had a soft springiness underfoot that made every step feel lighter than it should. Kai had been walking for an hour when he noticed movement up ahead. A small figure crouched near a cluster of crystalline trees. As he drew closer, he saw that it was a girl, not human. Her skin glowed faintly with a soft blue hue, and her eyes were larger than any human's, reflecting the twin suns in golden pools. She looked about Kai's age, perhaps a little younger. Her hair floated in fine strands around her head, as if the light wind of the planet pushed it upward. She froze when she saw him, stepping back slightly with a look of surprise that Kai understood immediately. To be a human here on this untouched world must have seemed impossible. He raised his hand slowly, showing he meant no harm. "Hello," he said gently. "I don't want to hurt you." The girl's voice was soft but clear, a strange melody that Kai felt more than heard. You are human," she said, her words careful, almost cautious. Kai nodded. "Yes, my name is Kai. I came from the stars." He paused, then added, "What's your name?" The girl hesitated, glancing around nervously. Finally, she said, "I am Lyra." Kai noticed her eyes flick to a shadow behind a nearby hill. "You're alone?" he asked. Lyra shook her head quickly. Yes, I live here, but—" Her voice trailed off, and she looked down at the ground. Kai took a small step closer, careful not to seem threatening. "It's okay," he said softly. "I don't mean to scare you. I just want to understand. I want to help if I can." Lyra's eyes softened slightly, but she still did not step forward. She seemed uncertain, as if trusting a human was a decision she had never been taught to make. Finally, after a long pause, she nodded and gestured for him to sit on a nearby rock. Kai lowered himself carefully and studied her. There was something remarkable about her, something that went beyond her alien appearance. He had always thought humans were unique in their curiosity, their courage, and their ability to adapt. But looking at Lyra, he realized that perhaps the universe had its own surprises, and that first contact was never simple. Lyra finally spoke, her words slow and deliberate. Why did you come?" Kai thought about it. "Exploration, discovery, I didn't expect to find anyone here." She tilted her head, studying him. "No one comes here," Kai smiled faintly. "I guess I'm the first." A moment of silence passed between them. The wind stirred the crystalline plants and tiny sparks of color danced across the ground. Then Lyra pointed toward the sky. "Stars, you travel there?" Kai nodded, his eyes following hers. "Yes, we travel among the stars. My people, we explore, we learn." Lyra's eyes widened. "Learn, understand, not take," Kai shook his head. "No, we want to understand. Sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we take things we shouldn't, but we also try to fix what we can." Lyra seemed to consider this carefully. "You help." Kai felt a small thrill of hope. "Yes. That's why I'm here. If you need help, I want to help." For a moment, Lyra's surprise gave way to something like trust. She took a small step closer, her glowing skin now fully visible in the orange light. Her hands hovered near hers as if she were weighing whether to reach out. Finally, she lowered them and picked up a small crystal from the ground. It was roughly the size of her palm, and it pulsed faintly with a light of its own. "This mine," she said softly. Kai nodded, careful not to touch it. "I understand. I won't take it." She studied him again, her large eyes shining. "Why human, different?" Kai thought about how to answer. "Because humans try. We try to learn, to survive, to help each other. Sometimes we fail, but we keep trying." Lyra seemed to consider this. Then in a sudden movement, she held the crystal out toward him. Try." Kai hesitated, then smiled gently. "All right." He reached out carefully and touched the crystal. A warmth spread through his hand, a soft humming that resonated in his chest. He felt a strange connection, as if the crystal was alive, but alive in a way different from anything on Earth. Lyra watched him closely. "You feel same?" Kai nodded, amazed. Yes, I feel it. I think it's beautiful. A smile, faint but real, crossed Lyra's face. She picked up another crystal and placed it next to his hand. Together, understand? Kai felt his heart lift. Yes, together. For hours, they sat on the soft ground, sharing the silent language of understanding, of curiosity. Lyra showed him how the crystals responded to thought, to touch, to emotion. Kai realized that the planet was alive in a way he had never imagined, not with animals or plants, but with these shimmering, sentient crystals that seemed to respond to will and intention. As the twin suns dipped lower behind the hills, Kai knew that this was only the beginning. This was not just first contact with a new species. It was the beginning of a bond that could change everything. Humans were explorers, yes, but more than that, they were learners, adapters, and connectors. And Lyra, alone on this planet, had found in Kai not an invader, but a partner. Kai looked at her, and for the first time on this strange world, he felt at home. But the planet was not without danger. From beyond the hills, faint shadows moved, dark shapes that Kai had not noticed before. He could not yet see what they were, but instinct told him that his arrival and the bond he had begun to form with Lyra might not go unnoticed. The wind shifted, carrying a low, rumbling sound across the valley. Lyra's eyes widened and she grabbed his arm. They coming! Kai's training kicked in. He had no idea what they were, but he knew one thing: he would protect her and they would face whatever came together. The twins' suns dipped below the horizon, and the valley plunged into a strange twilight, full of both danger and promise. Kai and Lyra stood side by side, facing the unknown, ready for the next step. Humanity's courage, adaptability, and drive to connect were about to be tested on a world far stranger than he had ever imagined. And in that moment, he realized why he had truly come here, not just to explore, but to witness the potential of life and the extraordinary possibilities when two very different beings dared to understand each other. Kai felt his heart beat faster as the shadows moved closer. The valley's soft twilight hid the shapes, but their size and speed made them unmistakable. He could see now that they were not animals, nor any creature he had encountered in his studies of alien life. They moved with intelligence, almost purposefully, scanning the valley in sweeping motions. Lyra grabbed his arm tightly. Her glowing skin shimmered faintly in the dim light, reflecting fear and urgency. "They hunters," she whispered. "Not friendly," Kai nodded. He had seen enough hostile life forms on remote missions to know that this was a fight they could not avoid if discovered. But he also knew that humans had a unique ability: to think, to adapt, to find solutions when danger seemed overwhelming. "Follow me," Kai said calmly, keeping his voice low so as not to alarm her further. He looked around and spotted a narrow crevice in the rocks nearby, a natural hideout. He grabbed Lyra's hand and pulled her toward it. Her long strides, unusual but swift, kept pace with him as they ran. Once inside the crevice, they crouched behind a wall of jagged stone. The hunters passed the entrance, their shadowy forms moving in a silent, calculated rhythm. Kai could feel the vibrations of their movement through the ground, faint pulses that hinted at some sense beyond vision. Lyra's eyes were wide with fear, but she tried to calm herself. "They sense," she said quietly. "Not eyes, feel presence." Kai nodded. "We have to be careful. We move only when they are far enough." He took a deep breath, thinking fast. Humans might not have glowing skin or alien senses, but they had tools, strategy, and creativity. He remembered the multi-sensor kit he had carried from the shuttle, a device that could send out tiny pulses to map the area in invisible waves. If he could deploy it, they could understand how many hunters there were and where they were headed. Carefully, he set the device on a flat rock, pressing the activation button. A faint hum filled the crevice, but it was silent to human ears. The device mapped the area, sending feedback to his wrist display. Kai scanned the results. There were 6 creatures, large and strong, moving in coordinated patterns. Their speed meant they could cover the valley quickly, but their coordination suggested intelligence, not mere instinct. "We need a plan," he whispered to Lyra. "We can't just run blindly." Lyra nodded, her large eyes reflecting both trust and fear. She reached into a small pouch at her side and pulled out a crystal, the same type she had shown him before. She held it tightly, and Kai could see the energy pulse faintly. "Use crystal," she said. Kai studied it. "You think it can help?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, guide, warn, they sense." Kai realized the crystal might act as a beacon or a shield, confusing the hunter's senses. He held it in front of him, noting how it pulsed faster when the hunters approached and slowed when they moved away. "All right," he said, "let's try this." Slowly and carefully, they began to move along the crevice, using the terrain for cover. Kai led the way, keeping the crystal between them and the hunters. Whenever one of the creatures approached, the crystal's pulse intensified and the creature shifted direction, moving away from their path. It was working, though just barely. Hours passed in tense silence. Kai could feel the planet's strange energy coursing through the crystals, through the ground, through everything around him. He realized that this world was alive in ways he had not understood. It was not merely Lyra's presence or the crystals. They were all connected to some larger system, something that gave life to the planet itself. Finally, they reached a hidden ridge overlooking a dense forest of crystalline trees. The hunters had not followed them this far. Kai took a moment to catch his breath, studying the terrain below. The forest seemed to shimmer even in the dim light, and he realized that it was not just beautiful, it was protective. The density of the trees would hide them and confuse the hunter's senses, just as the crystal had done. "Safe for now," Lyra said, sitting down on a low rock. Her glow dimmed slightly as she relaxed. "They hunt for energy, crystals signal presence." Kai nodded, thinking quickly. "If we can use the crystals to confuse them, maybe we can lead them away from your home. We have to protect this place." Lyra's eyes shone with hope. "You help a human, clever," Kai smiled faintly. "Humans are clever when they need to be." For the next few hours, they worked together. Lyra taught him how the crystals responded to thought, touch, and intention. By arranging small clusters and pulsing them in specific patterns, they could create false trails, misleading the hunters into thinking someone was in one location while they moved safely through another. Kai marveled at her knowledge. She had learned to survive here in isolation, understanding the planet's hidden language in ways he could barely imagine. As night fell, the twin moons rose, casting silvery light across the forest. Kai and Lyra finally paused to rest, hidden among the crystal trees. The hunters had been successfully diverted, but Kai knew this was only a temporary reprieve. The creatures were intelligent, and they would adapt. Humanity's ingenuity and technology would have to match alien intelligence if they were to survive. Lyra glanced at him, her expression softening. "You different, not fear, help, hope." Kai felt a deep warmth at her words. "Humans, we try, we fail sometimes, but we keep trying, we protect, we learn, we connect." The bond between them had grown stronger in the face of danger. Kai realized that this was what made humans remarkable, not just physical strength or advanced technology, but the ability to empathize, to form connections across species, across worlds. Lyra was not just an alien girl. She was a teacher, a guide, and a companion in discovery. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the ground beneath them. Both of them froze. The hunters were returning, and this time they were moving faster, more deliberately. Kai's mind raced. He had to think, adapt, and act, and quickly. "Lyra," he whispered urgently, "we need a bigger plan." "Can you show me more? The forest, the crystals, anything that can help?" Lyra nodded, her glowing eyes determined. "Yes, follow me, I know place, strong, safe." She led him deeper into the forest, where the trees were thicker and the crystal formations larger. The light here was faintly blue, reflecting off the walls of crystal like a protective shield. Kai could feel the energy in the air, a hum that seemed to strengthen his resolve. This place was not just a hiding spot, it was a sanctuary, a stronghold built by the planet itself and those who understood its power. As they moved, Kai realized that Lyra's knowledge of the planet went beyond mere survival. She understood its systems, its rhythms, and its intelligence. Humans had always been explorers, but this was the first time he had met a being who could navigate an entire world as if it were alive. And now, together, they were learning to use that knowledge to survive. They reached a high cliff overlooking a valley of crystals, stretching as far as Kai could see. The hunters were nowhere in sight, but their presence lingered in the vibrations of the ground. Lyra set the crystals she carried into a pattern, and Kai activated his sensor device. The readings showed a network of energy flowing through the planet, responding to the crystals. Kai realized that they could manipulate this network, creating barriers, traps, or signals that the hunters would interpret incorrectly. "This power," Kai whispered, awe in his voice. "We can protect your home." Lyra nodded, her expression proud. "Yes, safe, together." Kai smiled. Humanity had faced countless challenges across the stars, but this was different. This was not a battle of weapons or numbers. It was a battle of understanding, strategy, and connection. And humans, with their creativity and courage, could make a difference even in ways the universe had never seen before. The twin moons rose higher, bathing the valley in silvery light. Kai and Lyra prepared their defenses, combining human technology with alien crystals. They worked silently, efficiently, forming a network that could mislead, trap, and defend against the hunters. Every pulse, every placement, every calculation reflected a union of two minds, two species, and a shared determination to survive. And as the first shadow of a hunter appeared at the edge of the valley, Kai felt a surge of confidence. They had faced danger before it fully arrived. They had learned the planet's hidden language, and they were ready to fight not with brute force, but with ingenuity, strategy, and heart. The hunters advanced, unaware that they were walking into a web of misdirection and traps. Kai and Lyra stood together, ready to face whatever came next. Humanity's drive to explore, to learn, and to protect had brought them here, and it would guide them through the night. For the first time, Kai realized that survival was not just about strength or weapons. It was about understanding, connection, and the courage to act when all odds seemed against you. And on this alien world, humanity's greatest power was about to shine. The hunters advanced steadily, their shadowed forms slipping between the crystal trees. Their movements were silent but deliberate, scanning the valley with senses that humans could barely understand. Kai crouched beside Lyra, the network of crystals they had placed glowing softly around them. The energy pulses intertwined with his sensor device, creating a map of the valley that only they could see. "They strong," Lyra whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "They learn fast," Kai nodded. "Yes, but we have an advantage too. We think differently. We adapt." He adjusted the placement of one of the larger crystals, watching as its pulse shifted the hunter's course slightly. One of them veered off the path, sniffing the ground, confused by the false signals. Lyra's eyes widened. "Yes, confused," Kai smiled faintly. "Exactly, let's keep them guessing." For the next hour, they moved silently through the forest, using the crystals to misdirect the hunters. Every time a shadow passed, a carefully timed pulse from the crystals led the hunters away from their path, steering them in circles, wasting their energy. Kai was impressed by Lyra's knowledge. She understood the subtle language of the crystals better than anyone he had ever met. Together, they were forming a symphony of strategy, combining human ingenuity with alien instinct. As the hunters began to tire, Kai realized it was time to shift from defense to action. "We can't keep running forever," he said softly. "We have to make a stand, use the planet itself." Lyra's eyes glowed brighter with understanding. "Yes, energy, strong place, valley heart." Kai followed her as she led him deeper into the forest, to a hidden valley at the center of the crystal network. The air here was thick with energy, and the ground hummed beneath their feet. The crystals here were larger and more concentrated, pulsing in harmony with the planet. Kai realized that this was not just a sanctuary, it was the heart of the planet's intelligence, a place that amplified the power of the crystals exponentially. "We can use this," he said, awe in his voice. "We can control their senses completely if we work together." Lyra nodded, her glowing hands moving over the crystals in intricate patterns. Kai mirrored her movements, placing his own crystals to strengthen the network. Slowly, the valley began to hum with energy, a soft vibration that Kai felt in his chest. The hunters were approaching, and soon they would enter the valley. Kai and Lyra crouched behind a large crystalline outcrop, waiting. The first hunter appeared at the edge of the valley, its massive body shimmering faintly in the moonlight. It paused, sensing the energy, and then moved cautiously forward. Another followed, and another, until all 6 were advancing into the valley, unaware of the trap waiting for them. Kai pressed his hand to one of the central crystals, sending a pulse that amplified the energy of the network. The hunters hesitated, their movements faltering as the pulses distorted their perception. Shadows shifted where none existed, sounds echoed where none were made, and the hunters began to circle in confusion. "They lost," Lyra whispered, barely daring to speak. Kai shook his head. "Not lost, controlled. We guide them now." With careful coordination, Kai and Lyra directed the hunters through the valley, each pulse guiding them away from the sanctuary and toward a natural canyon that led to a trap. The hunters' instincts were powerful, but they could not distinguish between the false signals and reality. One by one, they fell into the canyon, unable to escape the energy network's influence. Kai felt a surge of triumph. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, but this was something different. Here, intelligence, creativity, and empathy were the weapons, and they had worked. The hunters were neutralized without harm, confused into retreat rather than destroyed, leaving the valley and Lyra's home safe. Lyra's glow brightened as she watched the hunters retreat. "Safe, thanks, human," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. Kai smiled. "We did it together, your knowledge, my planning, teamwork, that's what humans do best." For the first time since his arrival, Kai allowed himself to relax. The planet was still alive, vibrant with energy, but the immediate danger had passed. He realized that this world, so alien and strange, held lessons not just for survival but for understanding. Humans had always been explorers, yes, but they were also connectors, bridges between worlds, species, and ideas. Lyra led him deeper into the valley, showing him hidden pools of liquid crystal that reflected the twin moons like mirrors. The air was filled with soft, musical hums, as if the planet itself was singing in response to their presence. Kai reached out and touched the liquid surface, feeling the warmth and energy resonate through him. "This planet, alive," Lyra said softly, smiling. "Feel heart." Kai nodded, understanding. "Yes, and we are part of it now. Not just visitors, but protectors, learners, and friends." They spent the next few days exploring the valley, mapping the crystal network, and learning to communicate more fully. Lyra showed Kai how to amplify pulses to create light, sound, and even minor protective barriers. Kai shared human techniques, using small machines to extend the reach of the crystals and enhance their effects. Together, they created a partnership that was more than just survival. It was a fusion of minds, cultures, and species. One evening, as the twin suns began to rise, painting the valley in golden light, Kai and Lyra sat on a high crystal outcrop, overlooking the entire forest. The hunters had not returned, and the valley seemed peaceful, alive, and vibrant. Kai realized that this was the reward of human ingenuity, not just survival but transformation. "Human strong," Lyra said, her eyes shining with admiration. "Not only body, mind, heart," Kai smiled. "Yes, we are clever, yes, but we also care, we connect." "That is what makes us human," Lyra's smile widened. "Together, strong, protect always." Kai felt a surge of pride. Humanity had reached countless stars, faced countless challenges, and yet here on Vera 9 he understood something profound. The greatest strength was not weapons, technology, or numbers, but the ability to adapt, understand, and connect across difference. Days turned into weeks as Kai and Lyra worked together to strengthen the crystal network and secure the valley. Kai sent messages back to his shuttle, reporting the discovery and the presence of intelligent life. His reports emphasized not conquest or exploitation, but cooperation, empathy, and protection. Humanity, he realized, could truly make a difference when it acted with respect and understanding. Then came a day when the skies above the valley shifted. Strange lights appeared, signaling ships descending from orbit. Kai's heart raced, not with fear, but with anticipation. Humanity was arriving, not to conquer, but to witness, to learn, and to assist in protecting this extraordinary world. Lyra looked at him, her glow bright with curiosity and hope. "They human too," Kai nodded. "Yes, friends together help." As the ships landed, Kai and Lyra guided the new arrivals through the crystal forests, showing them the network, the hidden valley, and the lessons of the planet. Humanity had always been explorers, but now they were also stewards, learning to protect and preserve life that was unlike anything they had encountered before. The hunters had not returned, but their presence remained a reminder. The universe was vast, unpredictable, and sometimes dangerous. Yet in the face of that danger, humans had an ability that no weapon could replicate, the capacity to understand, to connect, and to act with courage and ingenuity. Kai stood beside Lyra, looking over the valley, and felt a deep sense of fulfillment. They had faced the unknown together, learned from each other, and protected something extraordinary. The planet thrummed beneath them, alive, responsive, and now secure, at least for the moment. "This, beginning," Lyra said, her voice soft. "Not end," Kai nodded. "Yes. This is only the beginning. Humanity will explore, yes, but we will also learn, connect, and protect. And together, we can face anything." The twin suns rose higher, casting long, golden beams across the valley. The crystal forests shimmered like living jewels. The network pulsed with energy, and humanity's presence had become a force not of destruction, but of hope, ingenuity, and connection. Kai realized that this mission, which had begun as a simple exploration, had become something far greater, a testament to what humans could achieve when they acted with courage, creativity, and empathy. On Vera 9, humans had not just survived. They had transformed, forged bonds, and discovered that their greatest strength lay not in conquest, but in understanding. As the new arrivals stepped into the valley, awed by the alien beauty and the glowing figure of Lyra, Kai felt a profound truth settle in his heart. Humanity's journey among the stars was not just about discovery. It was about connection, protection, and the unwavering belief that even in the strangest corners of the universe, humans could shine. And in that shining, the heart of Vera 9 and the courage of humanity became one.